I think the job of being a teacher is so rewarding in so many ways.
The connection between you and the whole class, that's still unbeatable.
When my pupils are successful, it feels incredible.
I think the greatest thing for me is seeing the pupils that I teach love the subject as much as I do.
I don't think there's any other job where you get the same satisfaction.
That's why I chose to teach.
You could get £26,000 tax-free to train. Search Apply to Teach. Selected subjects only, subject to eligibility.
Ladies and gentlemen, podcasting since 2005, you are listening to Gamer Tag Radio with your hosts Godfrey, Pete Rock, Paris, Pasta. Come on.
What's up, everybody? This is Pete Rock here at Gamer Tag Radio, here for episode 551. You're going to notice we're a little light this week because it's just myself and Austin J. What's up?
Skeleton crew in the house. What's up, Pete?
Yes.
Holding it down.
I'm doing all right. And yourself?
I'm doing great. I've been playing a lot of really fun games recently, namely The Division, but other things too. Dying Light, Street Fighter, jumping around here and there. Getting all excited for some of the new game announcements that have started happening all of a sudden. We've kicked into the second or third gear, and now I feel like of gaming news, because the closer we get to E3, the more we start hearing these whisperings and rumings coming out of, both sides of the camp, from Japan, from America, from Europe, all over the place. So a lot of cool stuff to talk about this episode. So we're going to have some cool discussions. Definitely probably have to talk a little bit about The Division, just because me and you are big fans. I know people still want to hear a little bit more of what we think about the game. But guys, we still have a full review coming, because we want Danny to be a part of this as well.
Right.
It's not just us that are the hardcore Destiny players. It's cool to see that Danny was also having a great time with the game, enjoying it, as he said in the past show as well. So it shows that it's not just purely for the hardcore. This is an accessible game for a lot of people. We'll get in that a bit later.
Yep. So let's go through the regular stuff, get it out of the way, pay the bills. For our listeners, if you want to listen, if you got any questions, comments, feedback, please send those over to us at fanmail@gamertagradio.com. That's fanmail@gamertagradio.com. Or leave us a voicemail at 786-2737-GTR. That's 786-2737-GTR. You can check us out everywhere: iTunes, Stitcher, obviously the Play.it network. While we're talking about Play.it, I want to do a special shout out to DJ EFN and Nori. They just launched the Drink Champs podcast, and they're now officially part of the Play.it family as well. So big shout out to them. I've known you since high school. It's crazy that we're doing this 20 years later. It's dope.
How dope is that? Welcome to the program, you guys. Welcome to the network.
Yeah. So before we dive into today's topics, and March Madness is going on right now with the NCAA basketball tournament, just want to take a quick second and bring up a pretty cool video series. It's called Delta Airlines and CBS Local Presents Guiding Greatness. It's an insightful video series that features some of the most successful NCAA college basketball coaches. It's pretty cool. Once you guys get a chance after listening to the show, head on over to guidinggreatness.com and have a chance to see backstage and see what it's like for some of the NCAA's biggest leaders and coaches, people who've done it all, and they're willing to share their experiences with stories of leadership, success, heartbreak, failure, disappointment, conflict. It's just a really cool human experience story told through the eyes and ears, and obviously the first person recollections of these great leaders of college students and how they play basketball. So if you have a chance, please head on over to www.guidinggreatness.com and check out the Coach K video, Coach Krzyzewski from Duke. Although I am a Hurricane at heart, I have to give him credit. He is one of the greatest college coaches of all time. We'll make sure that Danny puts a link in the show notes for those who can't follow, but it's pretty simple. www.guidinggreatness.com. All right, so we're going to jump into the first topic. It's a red hot rumor.
About as hot as you can make them these days.
Red hot. So a couple of weeks ago, there was some rumors and some kind of sprinkling concepts that Red Dead Redemption could potentially be coming in the form of a sequel.
Mm-hmm.
And today, there was actually some more news that we'll likely be seeing we're going to be seeing a potential unveiling at E3. I know, Patrick, this is one of your all-time favorite games.
Yeah, no question. Oh yeah, probably top 5 of all time. I mean, I do think that Red Dead is still to date Rockstar's masterpiece. I mean, even GTA 5, as incredibly fun as it was, did not touch that level of storytelling and immersion that Red Dead had. So this is big news. Now, obviously, they've said in the past that they never want to milk any of these large series that Take-Two has, like Red Dead, like Grand Theft Auto. They want to have what they call franchise value in these things long term. So again, it's been 6 years now since Red Dead Redemption came out in 2010. That's plenty of time to breathe. So basically, this website called Frag Hero, they said they received an anonymous email from an ex-Rockstar employee who says that, not only does Red Dead Redemption 2 actually exist, we're going to get an announcement sometime at E3 from one of the major companies out there. I don't know if it means Microsoft or Sony or Activision or Take-Two or however you want to play this. It's going to be announced in some form or some way at E3. That's one half of the rumor. The other half of the rumor says the reason we haven't gotten Red Dead Redemption as a backwards compatible game on Xbox One yet, even though it's like the number one game people wanted for the longest time since they released that ability to vote on them, they think they've been holding it off just so they could remaster it and put it out sometime before the end of the year on the Xbox One, which would be huge. I mean, there's probably a lot of people that did not have a 360 last generation, never got a chance to try Red Dead Redemption, and would be willing to definitely play this game because it's an amazing 200-hour plus game, one of the best $60 values I think any company's put out in the last generation. But to get back on point, I mean, there's a lot of things we want from Red Dead Redemption 2. So the only thing we know right now, and again, this is all pure rumors, is that allegedly it's going to be called Red Dead Redemption 2 Legends of the West, and will probably have the same multi-character mechanic that Grand Theft Auto 5 has, being able to switch between characters on the fly, and as you would assume, a much larger open world than found in the original game as well. That's all we know. We don't know time period wise. We don't know if it's going to be just in America. We don't know if it's going to go back to Mexico like the first game was. A lot of unanswered questions. And again, this is about as rumors can get, but it's exciting. And this to me seems like a logical choice for Rockstar to make this announcement. And if they really have been making this game for over 4 years, as this anonymous tipster claims, I mean, that's very clandestine. They hold something like that under wraps for that long. So I'm very excited. Obviously I'm always excited for E3, but if this really is going to happen, this probably will be my game of the show. I'm not trying to be biased. I'm trying to be honest. I mean, this could be a game changer for the open world setting for Rockstar. I mean, now that they have this technology, obviously probably using the same engine from GTA 5, there's so much more they can do, so much more they can render, run at a better frame rate. Lots of possibilities here, and actually a working fun online multiplayer, because that was kind of the one issue people had with Red Dead, was the multiplayer was not very user friendly. I would assume they'll move towards a more of a GTA Online system for the game in the future. So I'm excited. Pete, does this get you all hyped up as much as me?
I liked it. I don't have the passion and verve that you have for the Red Dead series.
I am a fan.
I give it its credit. It was a really, really, really good game. I know that the studio was actually doing hiring less than a year ago. Developer hiring. So it's not like they're not doing work. They're always putting,
Absolutely.
Rockstar's, really, really well known for that. I believe it's the San Diego office that's doing this. So I'm pretty sure there's going to be a lot of ears perked at E3, just waiting to see who gets the exclusive. Is it going to be Xbox? Is it going to be PlayStation?
Will we actually get a PC version? Because to this day, Red Dead Redemption never got a PC port.
Did it not?
No, never. It's the one thing console gamers have been able to hold over the master race. Is like, yeah, you guys have mouse keyboard, but we have one of the best games ever made, and you can't play it. So, tough luck. So, yeah, I would really like for them to actually have a PC. Now, I don't even say the word port. I'd like for them to in-house develop a PC version to come out day and date with the consoles. Because, again, it's 2016, 2017. PC should be more the forefront of this conversation. It shouldn't have to be, receiving the port secondhand from console games. Yes, I know console games move more units than PC games sales-wise, but again, PC gaming has seen a huge surge in popularity in the last couple of years, and to leave out a game of that caliber. I mean, I know it took Grand Theft Auto 5 an obscene amount of time to get on PC, but at least it did get there. And once it did, it was an incredibly well-made game for the PC. So I really hope that Rockstar is listening to the feedback and are making a PC version day and date with the console, because I think that's just a way to go moving into the future of gaming.
I agree. It'll be interesting to see. Hopefully they do a side-by-side type build similar to what Ubisoft did with The Division. So they, for those that aren't aware, and we can go back into this later, obviously, with the Division talk. But those games were built side by side, as opposed to building one and then porting it to the other to a different platform. They were built side by side so that, because they knew, the PC they were gonna have so much more options and power to work with. Speaking of consoles, more breaking news: PlayStation VR, $400.
Huge.
October.
Huge on their part. I mean, we kind of called this in the past, but I mean, it's more to speculation. To have the hard number, to have a release window, I mean, this is big. So definitely a lot of pressure is on Sony at this point to deliver a quality product. My hesitation is still, like, if you look at the list of games that'll be launch titles, a lot of them are scarily in that tech demo area where it's like, is this really a game? Is this going to be fun for more than an hour? So I'm really hesitant, because some of the things I've seen, there's at least 2 like pure railgun games, which sounds fun until you're sitting down and trying to play more than 2 hours of a railgun game in your own home. I just don't think the value is there. Because I've tried something like the London Heist thing. I tried that as a tech demo at previous events. It's okay. One of the things that boils my blood is the fact that Until Dawn is getting a sequel. I'm air quoting here. So Until Dawn is getting a VR spinoff called Rush of Blood. It's literally a light gun House of the Dead ripoff. So you take Until Dawn, one of the most original, creative games I've ever played on the PS4. Like, definitely a must-own on that system. And you turn it into some like really, really stupid VR House of the Dead probably like T or M rated like ripoff. It looks cheesy as hell. So you have things like that. You also have some things like Valkyrie, of course, Riggs, the game where the esports robot game. So there's some potential there, but there's nothing on the list that makes me go, holy crap, I've got to get this day one. It just makes me go, I really wish them the best, because I don't want this to fail. Because, as PlayStation, even Shuhei said, VR is a thing. We're all in this together. VR is not going to succeed without everyone kind of working hand in hand to make sure that the initial impression is a good one. Because if you don't get that first impression right, the word of mouth is going to tear you apart. I mean, we saw this with Xbox One's announcement way back in the day. We beat that dead horse to death. I don't want that to happen to the VR scene as well. So Sony's got a lot of pressure on them right now to deliver, but it's cool to know, it's going to be affordable. It's going to be a little bit more than a PS4 itself, but again, we're not in that $600 Oculus Rift territory. So it's something. So I really hope it works out well for them.
The big knock on it is there's been reports that you could tell the difference between PlayStation VR and an Oculus or a Vive. So you're getting what you pay for. So yes, you are going to be paying that $400 for that. And that is on the cheaper, that is the cheapest VR unit, if I'm not mistaken now. But you are going to be paying a price because it doesn't perform as well. Now, and on top of that, it doesn't come with the camera.
Correct.
That has to be sold separately.
You have to have the camera.
So that while initially that $400 price tag is like, whoa, hey, that's better. That the price just based on price alone is great, but now I have to buy another $60 separate accessory to make it work. It almost sounds like like Sony was like, okay, well, let's say this, let's give them a good price point, but they're going to have to sell something else separately just to get it to work. Why not package it all together or wait for the holiday bundle sale and just do everything at let's say $450 or something?
Well, I mean, they have announced that they're going to have the bundles, but I feel like that's a confusing message to send to consumers. Because they're going to walk in the store, they're going to see one VR headset that's $400 and one that's like $460, $470 that comes with the camera. And, you hope to God they ask the salesperson to clarify the differences. But a lot of people are just going to go for the cheaper one, get home, realize it doesn't work out the camera, and be furious. It just doesn't make sense when, I don't want to knock Sony, but I can't imagine the amount of PS4 owners that own the camera is even that significant of a percentage of their population. It's got to be very small. Because a lot of people were burned by the PlayStation Move on PS3, and even more people were burned by the iToy on the PS2. They have not had a good history of this. So they really want to reset everything back to square one, and I think dividing their packages is not the smart way to go about that. Be honest about the price and include it in the package, but don't try to confuse consumers with these multiple bundles. You're going to have a lot of angry parents come the holidays.
And I think, $400 is a great price point for early adopters who want to jump into the VR space for a console day one. I still think in my heart of hearts that it's to take a wait and see approach on this. I don't think we're there yet. Like we all took those chances on the Xbox One. A lot of us, Paris, are regretting that decision. So we're gonna have to take a wait and see on this. I also know that PlayStation still has some more news. Hot on the heels of last week with PS4, with Microsoft announcing that they want to do the cross-network play. Shuhei said he's trying to say how do I word this correctly? I think Shuhei said something to the effect of they've already been doing this with PC. Which I haven't seen. But
he's pointing to Street Fighter V and Rocket League as the direct examples. But again, that's two examples. And as I said in the Street Fighter V review, those servers are, let's be honest. And you can bleep that out if you want, but I got to be honest. Like, that game is a mess network-wise. So yes, the technology exists. Rocket League obviously is a great starting point for that. I kind of wish that would be the starting point for this, because everyone loves Rocket League, even if you're bad at it. But like what Shuhei was trying to basically say is like, yes, it's technically possible, but we also have to look at in his words, the policy issues and the business issues as well. Is this favorable to Sony? Would this take sales away from the PS4 ecosystem by allowing cross-play with other consumers? Because again, the PlayStation's got a great thing going right now. They don't really need to cater to anybody. They need to keep making great first-party games and have great third-party support, and hopefully the VR takes off for them, because they're in a fantastic market share place right now. So I understand what Shuhei is saying, because again, it's kind of a slap in the face to Microsoft. Microsoft can dream as big as they want, but as we said in last week's show, that doesn't mean anything if Sony isn't on board with this. Because again, Nintendo is not going to do this at all. The ball is squarely in Sony's court, and Shuhei is kind of the guy in charge of making these decisions. Is like, what does that give us? We love our consumers. Our PlayStation fans are some of the most rabid fans on the planet. They're very passionate about the PlayStation brand. What is the benefit market-wise for us to do something like this? And he's right. To be honest, in the future, I'd love for us to all hold hands and, a perfect unity of gaming, down the road. But, business-wise, that's just not how the industry exists. We need competition to drive innovation forward. And, of course, it's all about the money at the end of the day. You want to make sure that you're making maximum return for the investment you make. So again, people can argue with Shuhei's decision here all they want, but from a business standpoint, it's very solid. And he's right, in my opinion, that Microsoft would have to prove to Sony that this is advantageous for them. And I just don't know what they could say at this point, because again, they're second place to Sony, and I think that gap's only going to grow larger. But Xbox is still a fun platform, but I think the line has been drawn in the sand, and this generation has been decided already. And there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with being second place in a race like this. It's just this dreaming might be better suited for the next console cycle. I don't know if it's actually going to get off the ground running in this one. Pete, you have any thoughts on this?
If there even is a console cycle after this.
I think there will be. I think we still will get one more console cycle before we move into some weird utopian, I don't know what you want to call it. Okama Game Sphere. You want to quote South Park? Just like a universal master console. Or just everyone has a PC at that point. Who even knows if we can't think that far out? But right now, it's still the same old story. And I just don't see what the advantages of PlayStation at this point.
All of these Microsoft announcements with, universal Windows platform, and now they want to do cross-network play. I think if anybody drops out first, all signs are pointing to, Microsoft potentially, and that's just, again, this is me on the soapbox. If anything, it points to Microsoft dropping out of that console race. it's been mentioned by executives before, maybe not from the Phil Spencers or the other heads,
the non-gaming
the other
side of
talking
Microsoft
heads.
is the longest time seen Xbox as, a hole in their pocket.
Exactly. Even though it generates large drums of cash simply based off of the Xbox Live subscription service. That being said, it's if anybody's going to drop out, it's likely going to be Microsoft, because if this universal Windows platform works out as it's being touted, there may not be a need for something like that. Now, will this cross-network play have a requirement that you have to meet certain specifications, either internet or hardware, GPU, etc.? Those may or may not have to come into play. It's something we'll have to wait and see on this. But I don't know.
It sounds nice on paper. It's just in business practical world, I just don't see it working at this time, when we're still so competitive and cutthroat between the big two companies. And of course, Nintendo they're going to do whatever the hell they want. They're Nintendo. Some more power to them. But yeah, Microsoft, dream big, definitely. But, please don't forget to deliver what makes the Xbox platform special, which was, the Xbox Live community, those features, the multiplayer, and of course, some really great first-party games as well. And they definitely are delivering that throughout the year. You have your Quantum Break, your Scalebound, your Gears 4, Crackdown 3. That's all coming. But again, if you make a big announcement like this crossplay announcement, you don't want people to get riled up and then realize the business reality of that side is that's probably just not going to manifest itself anytime soon. Other than, games like Rocket League, which kind of just stand on their own as being universally popular. But, the bigger things like the Grand Theft Autos, the Red Dead Redemptions, even the Call of Duties, I just don't see them combining network platforms to allow multiplayer online. Things like The Division, probably the best thing to start, like those MMO style games. That's going to be the best starting point for technology and things like that, in my opinion.
All right. Well, speaking of major IPs, and we'll get off the Microsoft bashing platform for a quick second. Gears of War 4 beta news.
Yep. Happening, you guys. Early access beginning April 18th. So if you played Gears of War Ultimate Edition either on Xbox One or the new hot 4K Windows 10 version that just came out recently, you're going to get an early token wave starting April 18th. And then on April 25th, the open beta will begin. So anybody that Xbox Live Gold at that point can jump in, and the beta will run again from April 18th for early adopters, April 24th for everybody else, until May 1st is when the beta ends. So that's exciting, sooner than I thought. But, I'm ready for more Gears. I've just got to the point where I've started playing Ultimate Edition again, having a lot of fun with that on the new Windows 10 version. So I'm really excited to see what this is going to be like, because this is my biggest question. I knew, from the announcement of Gears 4 last year that I was already on board with the campaign. I'm like, ooh, slower paced survival horror, 2 characters. This looks like exactly what I wanted from the series after it went so crazy with the third one. But the multiplayer, for me, that's where the core of the game is. That's why I kept playing Gears of War 1, 10 years later. It never got old for me. So they have a lot of pressure on the Coalition to deliver something that's both, familiar but still fresh. Because, even Epic, they had an amazing formula with Gears 1, but they too strongly reacted to the balance people who said that, oh, this isn't balanced, this isn't fun. Cater to us, please. Make this more forgiving. And what they did, unfortunately, is balance it to the point where it took all the originality and the fun out of the game. So Gears 4, a lot of questions. What it will be like. I know I'll be there day one on April 18th to play it. But Pete, do you have any excitement for this at all? Or are you more just going to hang back and just see what the reaction is to it?
I'm kind of non-committal on it. I didn't get a chance to play the Ultimate Edition. The video game, the videos and gameplays that were announced at E3 last year didn't get me jumping up. Didn't get me super excited for it. Gears has always been a love-hate relationship for me. It's always fallen within not Call of Duty, but it's always fallen within that Halo environment for me, where I like the single player, but I don't like the multiplayer. It's possible that may change now that I've gone back to loving third-person shooters, and the Division does have a couple of similarities to it. The bullet sponginess, the roadie run concept, the diving out of the way. So it maybe, but I don't see myself going out of my way to play it. Hopefully, I'll get a chance to hang out and play the beta. Believe they're going to have something at PAX East the same week that the beta goes live for everybody. So if you're at PAX East, if any of the listeners are at PAX East, you'll have a chance to check it out as well. So I'm kind of meh.
Okay, I'm excited. I definitely will be on the show to talk about it in length once I get my hands on it.
I think Paris will as well. I think he's looking forward to it.
Oh, good. We'll definitely play it together and get you guys' reactions to it. But on another note, Pete, do you like making money?
I like
making money too. So if you need some extra cash in your life, you could consider driving with Uber. Because right now, Uber is one of the biggest things on the planet, and it's simple. All it is, Uber is a smartphone app that connects you with the drivers. So if you have a car and you need to make some extra money, all you have to do is go sign up at uber.com. It's totally flexible. You don't have to quit your day job because it lets you make money on your own schedule. You can drive whenever you want here and there, make some cash on the side whenever you get free time. And it's really simple too. Just turn on the app and just drive a few hours here, a few hours there. It all adds up fast for money into your pocket. And of course, it's so easy to start. Just go to drivewithuber.com to sign up for free. You can do it right now on your phone or at home on a computer when you get a second. All you have to do is just answer a few basic questions about you, your car, what do you drive, how many people you want to ride with you, and just get approved. It's it. And all you have to do is just start driving. That's all there is to it. It's super easy. So, I mean, if you have a nice car and you have that free time and you want to make some extra money, drive with Uber. It's great. It's very flexible. So start enjoying the flexibility of working when you want and earn extra money on your schedule. Sign up to Drive with Uber today. Just go to drivewithuber.com. That's drivewithuber.com. Check it out. It's a great way to make money, and it's probably my favorite way to get around town. Every time I'm out in New York or LA or San Francisco, we'll always have a wonderful experience with Uber. So if you want to make that extra money, just go to drivewithuber.com to sign up.
So I wonder if you have an armadillo from Gears of War, can you use that for Uber?
Yeah, I don't see why not. Hey, if you remember that when they had that Halo Warthog all those years ago, back in the day, they made it as a real thing and everybody just had to have it. If you have that, you should sign up with Uber. Holy crap, you would make bank. I would pay so much money just to drive around in an open air Warthog like that. So if you're out there, I know you people exist because I know that was a real vehicle. Sign up with Uber. It's worth it.
All right, so you know what game doesn't have vehicles?
What's that?
The Division.
That's true. Oh.
How's that for a great way to segue right into that?
Yes, it is,
Boom.
isn't it? You get that cardio in Division, don't you? You're literally hauling bleep up and down southern Manhattan all day long. Pete, I mean, what level are you? Let's level for a second. How much time have you put in the Division?
I am a level 22 as of right now, is when we're recording this, is Thursday evening. Level 22, level 20, I believe level 20 on Dark Zone level. So for those that are not aware or have been living under a rock for the last couple of weeks, it's finally here. Tom Clancy's The Division from Ubisoft and Massive Entertainment, I believe, is the name of the of the developer. Based in New York City, on Black Friday, a pandemic occurs when a virus is released through the currency of the United States, and it cripples the country, brings down the city, brings down government. The United States is in a world of bleep, and the government institutes martial law and activates a special forces group called the Division. And the Division sets about trying to bring about the most critical resources that the city or the people need to let them rejoin civilization and get back on their feet. So you play as whatever customizable character you choose to do. I thought it was really cool that, we've got the gender equality, we got, male, female, and you've got, I want to say, looks like 3 or 4 different races. Would have been cool to maybe see more, but I guess the standard 4, I guess, is okay. I don't know how bad that's going to sound.
That's okay. I was insulted by the lack of hairstyles. I think you get like 4 per gender, and I was like, okay, that's lame. But all right, you get hats though, right? So, hats cover up all that ugliness.
And because I'm Asian, my character looks like Stone.
Stone.
Or unnamed Ubisoft employee. But other than that, it's a third-person RPG shooter. I guess that's the way to say it.
No, yeah,
the
shooter should be the last part of that sentence because it is so far from what a shooter you would think. I mean, I don't care how good you are at SOCOM, you come in here, that ain't gonna work. It's so heavily an RPG. But that's for one of those things. It's a better for worse. Either you love that aspect of it or that's just going to completely turn you off. And, I'll be the first to admit that until I got my hands on the game, I did not enjoy the RPG mechanics of it at all. I said it over and over and over again that this was a mistake. They should have made it like Ghost Recon. It should have been realistic. But it looks like sales-wise, I was proven wrong. I mean, this is now not only the largest selling fastest selling Ubisoft game of all time. They've already made the claim that it's the fastest selling IP of all time. That's
for Ubisoft.
So that's big news. And a lot of people clearly are liking the Division a lot and what it offers. And even as Danny said in past shows that he doesn't feel the pressure that he did in Destiny to be at the same level as everyone immediately. Otherwise, you're a detriment to your team. You're not going to have fun. But I'm very impressed about the amount of content they give you for your $60 at launch, which again was our biggest issue with Destiny. Even though me, Paris, and Pete, we all love Destiny, but it was always that issue of when are we getting more content? Bungie, what are you doing? And here comes Ubisoft day one with, in my opinion, a crap ton of content, more than I expected for a game like this to have at launch. And then we already have these launch plans all set up. So, for right now, I don't even care about the DLC personally. I'm still thoroughly enjoying the vanilla experience. So, as you said, Pete, it's cool. I'm also level 22, so I'm right there with you. I think I'm also around level 20 in the Dark Zone because, the cool thing about the Dark Zone is it's separated by 5 level increments. So, as long as you're within a 5 level, 15 to 19, 20 to 24 gap, it puts you in the Dark Zone with people of that level. So, even though you might have a challenge, it's not going to be unbeatable. You can always beat other people with team tactics, communication. We talked about some previous shows, the whole aspect of walking up to random people, having the proximity chat, talking to them, making a group organically. These MMO features that PC players have been enjoying for years now has been put on a console. Obviously, the game's on PC as well, but for this to have a console mentality of essentially what is the Daisy Rust phenomenon of playing with other people and not being sure what their intentions are. It's cool to see that condensed into a balanced, well-polished final format, and I think that's what this game gets so right. And it's optional too. You can simply play the PvE parts just by yourself or with your friends and have just as much fun without even setting foot in the Dark Zone. But then when you set foot in the Dark Zone, you discover what it offers. You realize, this is just as much fun as the other side of the game as well. But I'm not forced into either one of them. So, props to Massive. Again, we'll have a full review. The other guys on the show because they want their opinions too. But so far, me and Peter are in consensus here that this is a really fun game on Ubisoft part. And so I'll be the first to admit that I was definitely wrong about this game because I had not got hands on it. I'd only watched Pete play at E3. I had watched you guys, listened to your guys' opinions on the alpha and the beta, but getting in there finally and playing, it is a blast. And it's got that MMO mentality where you feel like you have to play the game at least once a day, just to check in, just to see who's online, who's playing, what events, what side missions are on. And again, shout out to the plot. For them to actually make a game like this where the plot is central to the game and it's actually interesting, where I'm upset sometimes when I'm playing with friends and they're talking over the NPCs. No, I want to listen to the dialogue. I gotta turn subtitles on because I actually care about what they're saying. So even though you play as, of course, a deaf mute as you expect in this game, the side characters you recruit to fill up your base, they are really interesting. They have incredibly organic, natural conversations. Some of the best voice acting I've heard in an Ubisoft game. So props to massive props to Ubisoft. I can't wait to hopefully probably get to level 30 so I can get to the end game so I can talk about the full experience by the time we review the show, hopefully next week. But for right now, the amount, I think I've got over a day and a half of playtime now, I think, around that area. I'm having a crap ton of fun playing this game. What about you, Pete? What's your experience been like?
So I've been tempering my gameplay. I've had a couple of long-term 4 or 5 hour gameplay sessions. I had this past weekend I spent all day Saturday. I spent an 8-hour game session, but I'm trying not to do what I did with with Destiny, which is come home, play 6 hours, 5 days a week, and then try to squeeze that in during the weekend as well. Because I don't want to burn myself out on it, because it's almost like I'm trying to protect my expectation on the game. There are some things that kind of annoy me. One of them being, well, yes, there are a lot of side quests, and while I still haven't finished, I still think I have 2 more safe houses to go, etc. The one thing that bothers me is, like, for example, in Destiny, it took me weeks to get to max level after launch, but there's people that were max level on day 1.
I mean, that's MMO players. There's always that super hardcore aspect. I mean, every World of Warcraft expansion, you literally have World First, where someone will go from, the new level cap of 100 to 110 or whatever number they're up to now. Basically, they'll do what's supposed to take you a month or 2. They'll do it in 8 to 10 hours because they want that. They yearn to be the world first. That's important to them. So, I don't use those outliers as a common measuring point for the length of this game, because I think for the average person that cannot sit there and play for 8 hours in a row, because that's hardcore gamer territory, the amount of content I think in this game is going to last you a very long time, especially if you have friends that play similarly, not as often as you, because I'm keeping track of my friends list as I play to make sure where people are, who's higher level than me, who's lower level than me, and most people are honestly still under level 20 on my friends list. They just haven't put in the time. Either they can't because of work or other obligations, or they just like playing at their own pace. And then I have essentially a very small percentage of people that are already 30, and some of them more in that 25 to 30 range. So you can tell they're kind of like maybe slowing down, waiting for their friends to catch up. Because for me, again, I don't feel a desire to run to 30 immediately, just because I really enjoy playing, with you guys, with our community members as well. And what I like about the game is, I discovered this the hard way, is, if you try to join your friend's lower level instance, it's automatically going to raise the enemy's level to your level as the highest level player. So you can essentially make the game unplayable for your friends, because you can't just show up and just carry them through content. The game won't allow you to do that.
Do you agree with that? I like it because
I think so.
Like, me personally, I've been carried and I've carried friends, so I've seen both sides of the spectrum. And while yes, it can be kind of annoying that it's like you're literally one shot downed in every instance when you're going up against a 19 and 20 and you're like a level 14, 15 or lower, it does become annoying. It's almost to the point where you don't want to play anymore, and it's kind of a turnoff. So I don't know if there's a way to tweak that in any way, shape, or form to make it somewhat easier. I don't know. I just don't know if there's a way to do that.
I don't think there is, because I think it's a black or white issue. It's either you enable it or you disable it. And I think disabling that level restriction would make the game boring. Because in a game that's pure RPG like this, being carried is fun for like an hour, but when you feel like you didn't earn any of the stuff you have, and more importantly, you didn't develop the skill set to be able to fight higher level enemies, because it's not just your level. I mean, you do have to learn tactics. This is a cover-based shooter, and the enemies are some of the most aggressive AI I have ever seen in a game.
Yes, I had an instance last night playing with a friend of mine, and he was being chased. And he was just like, they won't stop following me. It's like he was just running. And unfortunately, I was on a higher level than he is. So he kept running, and he was getting like 1 and 2 shotted down because he's like 4 or 5 levels below me. And like, even I was, granted, we were going into the higher difficulty areas, trying to unlock the safe houses. So it was me going into a level 27 area when he's a 15. So, and there was points where we were getting 5-10 meters away from the door, and we just couldn't get in. And finally, we just like we said, forget it, we're done. But like you said, I really like the story, and if you really want to get the full concept, the full story aspect, listen to the audio recordings and the phone call, the phone collections. Listen to all of it, and all of those things. I guess it's a better Grimoire.
Yes, much better. You don't have to go to a
you don't have
website
to
to read
sit
that
there and
crap.
just read.
Yeah.
It's read
It's
for
all
you,
audio.
and you can just listen to them as you're playing.
Yeah, shout out to the they have these things called echoes too. If you haven't played the Division, where you have these center points where you basically can recreate a period of time of when the outbreak was at its absolute worst. So you get a little views of humanity, at its worst or at its best during the outbreak. A little bit of the plot here and there. I'll also mention shout out to whoever they have as like the radio DJ on the pirate radio stations that play when you're in the safe houses. I mean, seriously, applauding this guy because it's not only great voice acting, but it's great dialogue too, where it's believable enough where someone would naturally say this, but it has the exposition you want, where it fills in all the blanks of like, if you didn't, if you don't know what Directive 51 is, if you don't understand what the Division is, this guy literally breaks it down in layman's terms to you, and it naturally progresses as you go to each safe house, as you level up. It doesn't replay the same things over and over again, always is playing a new one to correspond with where you are in the story. So I love that aspect as well. Just, when the game world can organically fill you in on the plot without making you sit there and read, diary entries that you find on the ground, because no one wants to do that. No one wants to interrupt their game to do like a quick reading session. It's boring.
That's true. So what's your opinion on the Dark Zone? So the thing that confused me going into the Dark Zone, now understand, I didn't go into the Dark Zone for maybe a week after launch.
Me neither.
Because it was there's just so much to do. There's still aspects of the game that I still haven't even figured out. But during the alpha and the beta, you could only be within a certain range of levels in the DZ, and they split up the Dark Zone into multiple areas. So if, let's say, I was a level 15 and you're a level 2, you and I would never be in the same instance. That's no longer the same. It's now based on your overall PvE rank.
Yes. The party leaders, I'll give that as well, because I've literally had low levels. I mean, me and Dane talked about this in the previous show, but when we were both 18s, we had a level 5 with us. Right. And it was, of course, extremely detrimental to him. He died consistently over and over again. But he got a crap ton of Dark Zone XP because he was in our party while we were killing high-level enemies. So it's the double-edged sword of, yeah, you can do it. It's just going to be very frustrating, but you will be rewarded with a lot of XP on top of that. As a former WoW player myself, I really enjoy, as I said before in the show, the aspect of the bracketing levels, where WoW, they bracketed it by 10 levels, so it was 10 to 19 was... 11, 19 was in the same bracket, and this one it's down to 5. So it's more fair, but you also still have, that apex predator aspect where if you're a level 19 in a level 19 zone, you're the biggest fish in the pond. So like you already have a sense of security and safety that you can pretty reasonably respond to, acts of aggression against you. Now a 4-man team jumping you is a totally different story. You have to outplay them at that point. But just the fact that you can feel powerful in the Dark Zone, and because you don't gain PvE experience while in the Dark Zone, you can infinitely stay in at that high level 19, level 29, level 30 bracket, however you want to phrase that, and just enjoy the game. And so you can tell yourself, hey, I'm having fun with the PvP here. The minute I level into 20, I'm back at the bottom of the barrel. It's like going from being the king of middle school in 8th grade to being a lowly freshman in high school. It sucks. So this game thankfully gives the option. You don't have to do that. You can stay in the PvP as long as you want. And then we decide, okay, I need a break. That this is too much blood pressure for me to take in all this stress of losing my stuff and dying. I'm gonna go back into PvE. I'm going to level into the next bracket and fight a whole other wave of people in the Dark Zone next time I go back in. So I thought it was pretty brilliantly handled on their part to make it exciting, but still fair, and you can basically take breaks here and there when you want, play with your friends, play by yourself. Caters to everybody, I think. So they did a really good job of balancing that, in my opinion.
I know you keep referencing a full-on review, but I think we've ventured into full-on review territory.
We're walking that fine line, aren't we? But I still want Danny's opinion because unlike Destiny, where he kind of fell out of it pretty quickly, he's still on board with the Division. He's having fun, and that means a lot because Danny, obviously, we joke about this on the show, but he plays a lot of games. We can't get him to dedicate himself just to one thing for too long. That's just not how he enjoys games, which is totally fine. Because God knows we have enough games to play as a gaming podcast. It is, but it's nice when you have these multiplayer games that when we can all get together and play. Paris, if you want to play with us. But besides that, it's a lot of fun to play with you guys in a community setting when we keep having these splintering online communities where everyone is separated off into different ecosystems. It's nice when you can come together and everyone agrees that, hey, this is the flavor of the month. We're having a lot of fun right now. not everybody's going to stick around for the content for the rest of the year, but that's fine because right now we're having fun playing this game together. Nothing wrong with that.
So if there was anything you could do to change, if there was any part or any component to change on the game, what would you do?
I think I would have preferred a class system to what they have. And again, I don't want to get into review territory, but what they have is all abilities unlock as you progress through the game, and you pick 2 at any time, and you can change them during combat. But I still feel like it would have been more fun to have some dedicated classes in the game with maybe some more visually distinctive traits where, everyone doesn't look the same. Not to say everyone's like it's cookie cutter, but everyone pretty much wears the same vest, same knee pads, the same, the clothing is obviously optional, but it would have been nice to have some more visual distinction between characters. I think classes, because this already is an MMO type game, would have been nice. But I'm not upset of what they settled on, because again, I've actually had to explain to people, because they've asked me like playing online. It's like, oh, what class are you? How do you have that ability? I'm like, no, you have all that stuff. You just have to go in and just change it whenever you want. So some people are going to love that. Some people are going to be like, I could have wanted a bit more on that aspect. But again, I think it's nitpicking. So I think for what we have, I'm satisfied with it. So I guess the only thing that I feel I'm lacking is maybe some diversity in the environment, because, not to knock Southern Manhattan if you live there, but it looks all the same. It's a bunch of blocks, a bunch of ruined cars, a bunch of snow. That's cool, but hopefully some of the content will expand the environment diversity. Because I think that's one thing the game kind of lacks right now, that could get old after a while. But for right now, it's fine. I'm not complaining. It's just long term, that's something they could definitely address, is to have more diversity in the gameplay environment.
All right. Well, I believe one of the answers to that question that you came up with is answerable in episode 532 when Paris and I had a chance to go to LA to check out the game. Magnus Jansen, who is the creative director for The Division, he answered that question as to why there isn't classes. Because when you do classes, it kind of limits what what your skill or gameplay can do in a specific situation. And the skills, which are like your medic, the sticky grenade bomb thing, or the mobile shield, those are interchangeable regardless of the situation. So you can always change up the way you're going to engage in a specific situation in the game, and just say, okay, well, all my friends are using, sticky bombs and shields. I'm going to go medic because nobody else is, this is a harder level. Somebody's going to have to shoot out some health stuff, and I'll help everybody out. And vice versa. I typically run medic and the middle tier, which I think is security or tech. Sorry, it might be tech is the middle one. So I'm usually doing, one health, one defense and one attack. Some people may prefer to have, let me have the shield and the healing, the healing machine. So it's designed that way so that you play how you want, and you're not tied to that one specific air quotes class. You're not stuck with just that. And that's kind of one of those dividing concepts for, is it like Destiny, or is it more, you're not stuck in hunter mode only, and you don't have to go and regrind everything just to build a Titan back up to where you are, and then have to do that all over again to do that with a Warlock. You have that interchangeable piece that you can do at any given time.
Yeah. No, it's fine with it. That's just me nitpicking as an MMO player. But again, it doesn't affect my enjoyment of the game at all.
Okay.
So yeah, it's still fine. Still fun.
All right. I think the only other thing that I would want would be maybe being able to lock our favorite gear. But it's so early on that my leveling up goes so quick. You're only going to use it for a couple of hours. You're going to discard it or sell it or break it down and dismantle it later, because you're no longer going to use it. It's too low level. It doesn't do what you need it to do. So, and as good as that is, I think that's one thing I would want to change. Maybe another one would be a little clearer with, because they put it in such large font, the DPS and your health, but it's actually the numbers below that that are more important.
Mm-hmm. There does seem to be an over use of numbers in the game, which can probably be very intimidating to non-MMO players. That like it must look much confusing math on screen. But yeah, I mean, the end of the story, at least they streamlined the loot process, where it's like you have clear color indications of what loot is better than what, the numbers, but then you also have the random modification elements where, you know, some will do bonus critical hit chance, you know, some will apply different effects that, you know, drain health on enemies or give you health and vice versa. So I'll give them props where they could have taken something that might have been overly confusing. Other games certainly have this problem with UIs for RPGs. They did a good job of making all information pretty straightforward, easy to read. So I feel like the numbers are there for the people that want to get into number crunching and the hardcore stat stuff. But it's still straightforward enough where someone who doesn't have experience with that can understand what the difference is between gear, what's better than what, things like that. Just simple things that make the game more fun, like you know, the fact that clothing doesn't take up inventory space, just so you can collect all that stuff, you don't feel burdened by things. So things like that, where like you want to make the game as streamlined, as fun as possible, and not have to worry about inventory management, number crunching, all that hardcore stat stuff. That's fine on the PC MMO side, but when you're trying to make it accessible for everybody, you just do not want to drag that into the equation because it brings the whole fun level down.
Okay, that's fair enough. I think we've beaten the horse down.
Yep, I think we have. I think it's done.
So if you guys want more Division talk, please send us a message, fanmail at gamertagradio.com. You want to hear more about, you know, what we're doing. I think we need to line up some kind of a community game night.
I agree. I would
play
love
with
to do
people
that.
from the community. We haven't done that in a long, long time. I really think it's something that's lacking. We haven't done that in a while. Send us a voicemail, 786-273-7GTR. That's 786-273-7GTR. If you miss Danny, you miss Paris, or you just want us to keep, you know, taking over the show, that's okay. Just let, you know.
They don't have to come back. We can run this. That's fine.
Again, check us out over at play.it, iTunes, Stitcher, and all those other great things. Again, shout out to EFN and Nori for their Drink Champs podcast. You got anything else?
No, I think that covers everything this week.
All right. Well, then let's end this. Send our audio in, and we'll go do a little DZ.
Sounds good.
All right, man. Well, for Patrick, this is Pete Rock. We're out.
You're listening to Gamer Tag Radio. Be sure to like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter. Thanks for listening. Tune in next week.